Another flank has opened in the fight over problem gamblers and poker machines. As an alternative to Andrew Wilkie's and the government's policy of mandatory pre-commitment, the Greens want to cap machines at $1 per spin. Clubs, pubs and casinos are still opposed and are gearing up for a public relations assault in Labor's most marginal electorates. Karen Barlow reports.
This licence to play the pokies the feds are talking about, that's a bit of a worry.
This campaign by the clubs has been biting. There's public confusion surrounding the federal government's plans to tackle problem gambling. The proposal to set gambling limits through smart card technology is a particular sore spot.
The clubs have spent a lot of money trying to confuse the issue. The licence to punt notion has put some doubt in people's minds.
Now there are reports of a $40 million fund by clubs, hotels and casinos to fight the pokey reforms.
Community funding from clubs and pubs will dry up.
It's a marginal Labor seat campaign. Lateline has seen a list of the Queensland, New South Wales and Victorian seats about to be targeted.
I do think people will ask the question, well, if they've got $40 million to spend on that campaign, doesn't that tend to indicate that some of the claims we are hearing about the profitability of venues aren't quite right?
All the sources of the $40 million campaign have not been confirmed, but Woolworths is contributing $250,000 and Clubs Australia is committed.
Look, my member clubs have authorised me to spend $9.5 million on this campaign. Look, we would sell tables and chairs in our office to fight this campaign because we know it won't help problem gamblers and we know it will decimate our industry.
But the federal government, independent MP Andrew Wilkie and independent Senator Nick Xenophon are determined.
No matter how much money they'll spend, they'll never win this fight.
We will do what is right. And I am concerned about the circumstances of problem gambling.
The federal government's gambling reforms, negotiated with Andrew Wilkie, would have venues committing to or changing to low-intensity poker machines with a maximum single bet of $1. If a venue wants to allow higher bets, then the machines would be subject to pre-commitment technology. Gamers would be barred from betting once they've lost a pre-nominated amount of money. That's what the clubs have been fighting.
You don't help a problem gambler by giving them a gambling card. That is what people need to wake up to.
Now the Greens are trying to simplify things. They want to bring down the maximum cap of $5 a spin in Victoria and Tasmania and $10 everywhere else to just $1 a spin across the board.
It doesn't have the big cost associated with mandatory commitment up front, and it doesn't have the issue that the club's campaign say is a problem, which is the notion of a licence to punt.
The Greens say they've costed the proposal, which will involve software adjustments to existing machines, as somewhere between $25 and $50 million. With retrofitting old poker machines and bringing in new ones, clubs say the Greens' proposal is just as expensive as the current reforms.
We think the cost of this could be around $3 billion, just as it is for mandatory pre-commitment, and that would be an outlay that would not help problem gamblers.
Clubs also say the cap will prolong the problem, with expectations gamblers will just blow the same amount of money over a longer period.
Anyone who knows anything about problem gamblers will know they will continue to gamble until they've spent their money.
These jokers in the pokies lobby, and the clubs in particular, are just amazing in the excuses they come up with. This is not a reason that they put up until today.
The $1 spin proposal had been championed by Nick Xenophon for years, and it was Andrew Wilkie's starting point in negotiations with the federal government. Both men and the government are standing by their plans for mandatory pre-commitment technology.
I'm with Andrew Wilkie on this because what Andrew has done is to put an important issue on the agenda that otherwise would have been swept under the carpet. And Andrew negotiated in good faith with the government and came up with this hybrid model.
Andrew Wilkie says the Greens' proposal dovetails with his and the government's reforms, which he and the government have tonight stressed have not changed in any way. Karen Barlow, Lateline.